What's going on, guys? CultOfMush back at it with how hard is Metal Gear Solid 5 to run? Yes, one of the most anticipated games of the year. Metal Gear Solid 5 is almost upon us. It has a fair share of controversy with Kojima leaving, but I know the majority of people are still very excited for this game. I know a lot of people are going to pick this game up, and I know a lot of you guys got this game for free with your graphics card, so it would be a fun game to check out, and I am super stoked for this game. Just over the last few weeks, I've been reminiscing on the Metal Gear Solid story, and now I'm just amped for this game. I can't wait for it to come out. And if you guys don't know, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, the prequel to this, was an excellent PC port, one of the best PC ports of all time, so expect this to be very good as well, but we don't know for a fact yet. The system requirements are out, so I thought I would take a look at that for now. So let's get started with minimum CPU requirement. You're looking at an Intel Core i5-4460, 3.4 GHz quad-core CPU. i5-4460, that's pretty beefy stuff. It's not an overclocked i5, of course, it's the i5-4460, which is a lower clocked at 3.4 GHz. But it is a quad-core CPU, which is the minimum requirement. If I had to guess, I think this game will end up running on dual-core CPUs. I mean, hell, this game is on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 as well. A lot of people forget that. But still, it does look like you want to have an Intel quad-core CPU if you do want to run this game at the best settings. And the recommended CPU is the Intel Core i7-4790 3.6 GHz or better. I don't take too much into that. A lot of games like The Witcher 3, I think, even recommended an i7, and The Witcher 3 really didn't need an i7. If you had an i5 and it was overclocked, you were perfectly fine. So I don't think it's going to be crucial to have an i7. I do think it's going to help your frames a tad, but I think if you guys have a mid-tier i5, you'll be fine. As far as AMD CPUs, it's kind of hard to say. The FX 6300 isn't close to the performance of the i5, but I still see that CPU being able to run this game no problem. You might have to turn down a couple settings, but it won't be too big of a deal. For a RAM requirement, minimum is 4 GB, recommended is 8 GB, not too surprising there. That's been the standard. You either see minimum as 6 GB or you see minimum as 4 GB. In this case, minimum is 4 GB. So those of you guys that are still rocking 4 gigs of RAM, you can run Metal Gear Solid 5, so that's pretty cool. Otherwise, this is pretty standard affair. Next, for graphics card requirement, which you guys care about, the minimum graphics card requirement is an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 650 2 GB or better. Now, the GTX 650 is a very old budget and video card, but the main thing on this is that it does have a minimum requirement of 2 GB of video buffer, which I think is the main thing. For those of you guys that are still running 1 GB video cards, I don't know who is at this point. Well, if you want to play this game, I do think that's going to be a bit of a struggle. And there is no AMD GPUs listed for minimum or recommended requirements. You guys probably know Metal Gear Solid 5 was a game that had a partnership with NVIDIA. NVIDIA's giving the game out with a lot of their graphics cards, so that's not too surprising. But I think even the lower end graphics cards will be able to run this game as long as it is 2 GB, something like an R7 260X, I think will be able to run this game. Moving on to recommended GPU, you're looking at an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 760. That's a pretty old mid-range GPU. If you have something like a GTX 960, you'll be fine. Once again, I think you will want a video card with 2 GB, but if you have a graphics card like the GTX 960, obviously you're going to have 2 GB of video buffer. No AMD GPU was listed once again, but something like the R9 270X seems pretty logical. Now, I say pretty logical because it could be a scenario where this game is going to run better on NVIDIA GPUs versus AMD GPUs. It could be possible that NVIDIA did have some kind of input in the PC port, so we'll have to wait and see for that. So if you do have an AMD GPU, you might want to be a little cautious about picking this game up. Final thing I want to note is hard drive requirement is 28 GB, which is not bad at all considering this is a giant open world game. 28 GB is not bad at all. So that's it for me, guys. I'm super stoked for Metal Gear Solid 5. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year. I think alongside Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to make the fall season a very interesting one. I want to see which game really competes for Game of the Year, because this year, Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, Fallout 4, which one's going to take that crown? I'm really excited to see that. I mean, Witcher 3 already delivered. Metal Gear Solid 5, by the reviews, which do have an asterisk next to them considering they only played the single player, by the reviews, it's getting straight 10 out of 10, so that's pretty good to see, and I'm sure Fallout 4 is going to be a great game. So a really cool fall season coming up for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are excited for this game. Let me know what you guys think. Are you picking up Metal Gear Solid 5, or do you have the specs to run it? I'm pretty sure most of you guys with a decent PC do. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.